Okay, everybody, Stephen Key here, and I have another special guest. In fact, this is really interesting because Rachelle was a TV host on QVC.
That's right. That's right.
Well, that's really interesting. So thank you, Rachelle, for coming on InventRightTV.
Yeah.
Let's talk about that for a minute.
Okay.
Okay. How do you prepare to be a TV host? I mean, can you prepare for that? Because I think being in front of the camera, that's a little nerve-wracking. So how do you prepare for that, or can you?
Yeah, so I think, being on TV is really just about being yourself and being true to yourself, or in this instance, a product. I've been in television for well over 15 years, and I've done everything from entertainment, junkets, interviewing celebrities, red carpets. It's actually where I started in the industry, and it led me to home shopping. And the thing I loved about home shopping was being able to tell different stories for people, the story of the product, how it came to be. I think that's one of the biggest fascinations with shows like Shark Tank, right? As we become very emotionally connected to not only families, but their product, their journey, and overall kind of what the story of it all. And I would say when someone is preparing for television, whether you're a guest for your own product, whether maybe you want to be a host on a home shopping network somewhere in the world, or just in general, I think the biggest thing is being comfortable with who you are, knowing what you are there for and what your purpose is. For me, my personal purpose when I joined a home shopping channel was I wanted to tell stories. I wanted to be next to entrepreneurs. I have an entrepreneurial spirit myself. And I just feel like being around people like that and these products and watching dreams come to fruition, there's something electrifying about it. And I think it's very unique. So even if you're just sitting at home, like we are in our offices right now, it's a really good way to practice. I always recommend start a YouTube channel. Do Facebook Lives. Right now, the one thing, even if you were to take like a hosting class, because there are hosting coaches out there, the biggest thing that they're going to tell you is get in front of a camera, whether it's your iPhone, whether it's your computer, whether it's in your home office. The lighting doesn't have to be perfect. I just told you before the interview, I was like, oh no, my lighting's dark over here. Honestly, at the end of the day, it doesn't matter. It's about being your true authentic self and just being comfortable knowing what it is and the message that you want to deliver and why you're there to begin with. And ultimately, yes, you can absolutely practice being a TV host, get in front of the camera, practice what you want to say, but don't memorize it. That's the one thing that I think will always get you in trouble, so to speak, is trying to write everything down and memorize it. And I am a huge victim of that because I used to absolutely hate it when it was non-scripted because that was the role that I grew up in. So television hosting is something that is literally become being yourself, and it's no longer kind of about that cookie cutter that maybe we used to think of, or when we thought about a host.
Okay, so practice in front of a camera. It could be any type of camera, but practice.
Yes.
Let's talk about, because I know a lot of inventors being in front of the camera, a little getting any PR, any opportunity is very important for them. Any other tips besides the practice? Should you watch the channel or the format to know how long it's going to be?
Yeah. So, depending on where you're going, whether you're selling it from your house, maybe you're selling it on an online retailer, or you're going onto a home shopping channel, always watch where it is that you're going and get to know the business. When did it start? Who's been there? In this case of a home shopping channel, who are the hosts? Who are they? What are their experiences? What kind of products do they have? And what does a typical sell look like? So even if you're in your home office and you're selling on your own YouTube channel, what is the message that you're trying to convey? But I think the biggest thing is also, if you're not comfortable speaking in front of people, the wonderful thing about a camera is it's not people, it's just a camera. Everybody on the other side, whether it's pre-recorded or it's live, it's just you and the camera. And in this case, maybe just you and the customer. And you always have to think about that. It's not really about us as a host or as a product developer, as an inventor. It is about the customer and what it does for their lives and how it helps them. And when you can always remember why you created it and who it's for and what its use is, you'll never, ever, ever fail. So it doesn't matter how nervous you are. As long as you have those things in mind, you'll be fine.
Great advice. What about nerves? I mean, how
Hmm.
do you prepare the night before? Should you get a
Yeah.
lot of sleep, drink a lot of water? Do you get there early? How do you prepare to be on camera? Is there a way of
So
doing that?
that's a great question. So when I was auditioning, I auditioned against 17,000 people. That was how many submissions they had. And when I was brought into the final round back here in Pennsylvania, there were 25 people. And we were all brought in, and we had to all audition together. And it was very interesting because there was a room full of some of those talented people in America auditioning for this position. And everybody had their own way of doing things. Now, I grew up, I was a Miss Arizona in 2011, and I did pageants for a very long time. And pageants prepared me, I think, to A, be able to be comfortable speaking in front of a camera, but B, knowing how I liked to prepare. And so for me, being prepared was making sure I had snacks with me in the morning, making sure I had my outfits completely laid out and steamed, making sure I was prepared on who I was going to be while I was there, which was just myself. A lot of the preparation will come down to not leaving things till the last minute.
Okay.
So you weren't going to find me in my hotel room before that audition running around missing anything. I packed everything but the kitchen sink when I came to Pennsylvania. And I think that it matters. And they always say, the more you prepare, the better off you are. And you can't prepare the very last minute. Your preparation comes down to everything you've done prior to that night.
Okay.
That night is simply about everything you've done to get there. It's going to be what it's going to be. Don't try to cram.
Okay.
Be confident in what you have and go out there and just know that what you're doing is what you've prepared for. And if you prepared prior to that night, then that's good. But I would say a good night's sleep too. And don't skip breakfast the next day.
All right.
Always eat your breakfast.
Okay. What about what to wear? Do you kind of match what the set looks like or the other host? Do you want to be different? I mean, how do you do that?
Yeah, so realistically, a lot of times the host will sometimes, if you're in a clothing brand, sometimes the host will tell you what they're wearing. You try not to twin, if you will. That's just not something that we really do, but usually wearing nice, bright, vibrant colors. I was a pageant coach for a long time, and the same rules apply when I was coaching people, and that is jewel tones are generally your best friend. So anything in the jewel tone family, you usually want to stay away from stark white, generally stark black, depending on your product, but mostly think about those teals, the reds, a solid color, power colors like a royal blue. And also, if you are so inclined, you can look up the psychology of color. If you're trying to portray something interesting,
Right.
you can just do a quick Google search and find something. Or, you know what, Stephen, some people have a color that makes them just feel like $1,000,000. And whatever that looks like, I don't care if you wear the same suit or the same dress or the same shirt on every presentation. It could actually become your signature move, So
Right.
my biggest thing is just stay away from busy patterns,
Okay.
clothes that might be unflattering, something that is either too tight or too loose. Just wear something that you're comfortable in, and don't get too caught up in the schematics of it. Just wear something that makes you feel comfortable and confident.
Should you always bring a backup?
Yes. Always bring a backup. That's great advice because you never know what's going to happen. You don't know if something's going to snag or rip. Maybe you get a stain.
Okay.
Maybe the host is wearing red and all you brought was a red dress. You do want to have a couple different options generally when you're going on air.
What about bringing enthusiasm?
Good attitude is always the best.
How important? It's important, isn't it? I mean,
Yeah.
okay.
Yeah, I would say having a good attitude and just being super positive, being optimistic. You're getting the chance of a lifetime. Probably hundreds of thousands of people try to get their products on air or online every day, and you kind of won the jackpot. So don't take the opportunity for granted. Definitely know that it's a privilege.
How important is it to smile when you're on camera? Important?
I think smiles are infectious, and I think when people know that you're having a good time, they're going to have a good time too. And really, you're there to also shop but entertain.
Okay.
And I think, I think a smile is worth $1,000,000. So you should always smile. I tend to do it infectiously when I'm having a good time. So,
What happens if you make a mistake?
Hmm.
Do you call attention to it? Do you correct it or just go over it? No one will even remember it.
So I'll tell you something. So when I started in TV, like I said, it was I started on teleprompters and scripts. I memorized everything. I had an ear prompter. There's always someone in my ear telling me what to do my whole TV career. And what's interesting is it got to a point where you don't want to mess up. Like if you're a news anchor, generally you want things to be very smooth and solid, even out in the field or on a red carpet. But being in a world of home shopping or products, even online or on your own YouTube channel, it's more about being incredibly authentic. And we make mistakes. Even while you and I have been talking, I've tripped up over my words a couple of times. And if 2 years ago, I would have been like, no, Stephen, we have to do that again. It didn't sound right. Because there's this thing that's ingrained in us about needing to be perfect. And I think what I learned about being a home shopping host is that nobody's perfect, first of all, and that we all have the opportunity to be our authentic selves, and that means making mistakes. You might fumble over your words, or you might make a mistake and say, oh, no, I meant to say we have these colors available, or whatever it might be. And that's okay. I can't tell you how many mistakes I made on national television in front of the whole world. And don't get me wrong, people definitely called me out when I made a mistake. You just have to learn that it's going to be what it's going to be and just have fun with it. Usually we just kind of roll right through it, but you'll notice if you watch enough live television, especially live home shopping, we all make mistakes. And just expect that it's going to happen and be okay with it.
Rachelle, fantastic. You gave so much, so many tips, inside tips. You gave those away. Thank you very, very much. Is there anything you'd like to leave with? Any other advice about being on TV or being ready or being an entrepreneur, that you're ready? Is there anything else at all?
I just think if it's the thing that keeps you up at night, that you can't stop thinking about, that you can't stop dreaming about. For me, it was television, and it was the idea of telling stories. When you can't stop thinking about it, you know that it's something that you should be doing. Don't put that on hold. Don't put it on the back burner. Don't be nervous about maybe not knowing enough or thinking you can't do it, because everyone can do this. Anyone can do this. And I really believe that once you find your stride and you take a gamble on yourself, I think that you'll be pleasantly surprised. Because even if this doesn't work out, something else might later down the road. And Steve and I have definitely learned that from your books and from a lot of your InventRight shows. So I think that ultimately you just have to believe in yourself and don't be too nervous, because at the end of the day, people are here to cheer you on. We want your product to do well. And I think that it's a really beautiful thing to live in a place where we have the opportunity to do this.
Rachelle, thank you very much for coming on, and subscribe down below. I love this interview. It was one of the best. So keep on watching, everybody. Rachelle, thank you very much.
Bye. Thank you very much.